Hey, what is going on guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a new update that Riot just released today for the tank class and also for a few champions. So basically, we're just going to break down the information that we've got here from Riot and kind of take a look at what we can expect in the coming weeks or in the coming months. So with that being said, let's get started. So first up, let's take a look at the tank class update. Now what this update is going to focus most on is the Vanguard tanks. Now if you guys don't know what the Vanguard tanks are, basically these are the initiator tanks, or the champions that do have a good long range crowd control ability. So for example, someone like a Malphite or a Leona or an Amumu would be a champion that Riot would be focusing on in this tank class update, but they wouldn't be focusing on champions like Maokai or Shen because those are not Vanguard tanks. I'm pretty sure they're called Warden tanks. Those champions are better off at like peeling than going for like hard engages onto the back line. So the first key point here in this update is that Riot wants to make tank champions have more of a higher skill ceiling, but still keep them to where they are pretty easy to pick up. But once you do have multiple games on the tank champion, say you've got like 100 games on Nautilus, they want that player that has a lot of experience on the champion to have more of an impact than a player that only has maybe like a few games on the champion. They still want to keep tanks like relatively easy to pick up, but they want to make them harder to master so that once you do play them a lot, you will see a big difference between a good tank player and a tank player that doesn't play that role as much. The next point they make here in this article is that they want to make tank champions have more of a consistent force in team fights, because right now what an engaged champion usually does, for example an Amumu, what he does is he engages, he uses all of his crowd control, and then after that he's kind of just standing around using his E whenever it's up and autoing, and he's not really having as much of an impact on the fight as some of the other consistent damage champions or consistent crowd control champions would. So they want to make these tank engaged champions have more of an impact as the fight progresses, so that they don't just blow everything at the start and then they don't really have much to use after that. Another point they make here is that they want to make tank items a lot more beneficial for tank champions as opposed to like bruiser champions or just champions that aren't going to be building a whole lot of defensive stats. So what I think they could do with this is, if they want to make like tank items benefit tanks more than any other champion, then what they could do is on these tank items, they could put some little incentives into them where if you do build more HP or if you do build like more armor or magic resist, then for example on an item like Randwins, then the more HP that you have, they could add into the active on the Randwins, the more that it would slow the opponent. So they could add in these like little incentives to where the item is going to be a lot stronger if it is built on tank champions instead of just a bruiser champion or a champion that won't be building as much resists. And so far, that is all the information we do have on these tank champions or on the Vanguards. I'm not sure exactly when they will be getting this update, but in the near future, we should expect an update for these tank champions. And we do have a little bit more information here on the Galio rework as well as the Evelynn rework and the Urgot rework. So right now, Riot is working on the Galio rework. As it says right here, it is their current project right now. And they're also looking to work on Evelynn, I guess, after they've done Galio, because for Evelynn, it says next project. And if we scroll down here for Urgot, it also does say current project. So what I'm assuming this means is that right now they're working on Urgot and Galio, and those will be the next two reworks released, and then after those two champions are released, then they will work on Evelynn and release her update. So for the Galio rework here, we don't really have too much information. All that we have is that he's getting his rework coming up soon, and that he's also getting some nice finishing touches on his base skin as well as on his legendary skin. So for Evelynn here, basically what they're talking about in this section is that for Evelynn, they do want to give her a complete visual update with her new rework, so that will definitely be pretty interesting. And they also want to change the way her stealth works. So right here it says that we think perma-stealth is a cool and unique trait, so we don't plan on removing it, but we do think that there's a healthier version of it that will allow us to shift power elsewhere in Evelynn's kit. So I'm honestly not sure what they could do with her stealth here, because they say that they want to keep it, they want to keep the stealth the way that it is right now, but they also want to change it a little bit so that they can move power in her kit elsewhere. Let me know down in the comments below, guys, what you think that they could do with Evelyn's stealth, because I'm honestly not sure what they could do here, and I'd be kind of interested to know what you guys do think on this. Then finally here for Urgot, it does say that Riot has finally come up with a solid direction in what they want to do with Urgot, so he will be going into production, and it does say that he will be getting a full visual update as well as a full rework on most of his abilities. So that was all of the important information to do with the updates in this video. There is also some more information on how Riot thinks they did with the Assassin class update, so I will link this article down below for you guys if you do want to take a look at it. They do talk about like how they think the Talon rework went, how the Rengar rework went, how they think the Katarina and then the LeBlanc rework went as well. And then after that, they just talked about the reworks here. So that is gonna be it, guys. Thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.